Allison Sargent joins me on the set to take a look at what the papers have been saying today. Hi, Allison.
Hi, Jeannie.
Lots of focus still on the U.S. presidential election and particularly President-elect Joe Biden.
That's right, Jeannie. Papers are starting to look ahead to what's next for President-elect Joe Biden. First things first, he's going to have to clean up the mess. That's how a lot of papers are seeing it. This cartoon from the Times' Morton Moreland gives us a pretty good visual. We see Joe Biden there showing up in the Oval Office with a mop and a bucket. As you can see, he certainly has his work cut out for him. The Washington Post writes that the world's populists are going to be losing their lodestar with Donald Trump out of the White House. They say, quote, the man who brought fringe populists from Hungary to Brazil in from the diplomatic cold is now going to be gone. Still, the paper warns that few are predicting an end to global Trumpism, this nation-first style of governance that was gaining traction in Europe and Asia well before Trump was elected in 2016. The paper says, not only is Biden's narrow victory proof of ongoing support for those ideals, but also others could use Trump's democracy-damaging claims of widespread fraud, in the words of the Washington Post, as a model for dealing with their own political challenges back at home.
Let's talk a bit more specifically about Donald Trump's allies in the Middle East. The Lebanese paper, for example, L'Orient Le Jour, is focusing on them specifically.
That's right. And according to the paper, they're sort of holding off on any major reactions for now. They're waiting to see what Joe Biden is like as a president. L'Orient Le Jour points out that Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman, though, did wait until quite late, until Sunday evening, to actually congratulate Joe Biden. For Saudi paper Ashaq al-Assad, Biden's presidency signals, quote, the start of an ambiguous and potentially dangerous new phase. The paper is particularly worried about U-turns in U.S. policy on the Iran nuclear deal, the war in Yemen, and human rights. And Ashaq al-Assad also sort of warns Joe Biden that if he wants to maintain stability in the Middle East, well, he's going to need the partnership of regional forces going forward, in particular Saudi Arabia. Now, along with Mohammed bin Salman, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also sort of slow to react to Biden's victory compared to many European leaders. It was a tale of two tweets on Sunday, basically. He sent one congratulating Joe Biden and another one thanking Donald Trump for his leadership. The Jerusalem Post writes that he managed to upset both sides, their headline here, starting and ending on the wrong foot. Basically, he upset the Trump camp because he acknowledged that Trump had lost, which Trump himself has not done yet. And then he upset the Biden camp because he waited so long to say he had won.
Trump's allies in the Middle East are not the only ones who are a bit nervous about a Biden presidency. It could also pose problems for the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
Notably on the issue of a post-Brexit trade deal with the United States. This cartoon from The Guardian's Ben Jennings sort of sums it up quite nicely. We see the words trade deal spelled out in the trail of air that's left by the famous Donald Trump baby balloon as it deflates, sort of floating out of Boris Johnson's reach. Now, the conservative tabloid, the Daily Express, is reassuring its readers on its front page today. They say Biden will do a trade deal with the UK. At least that's according to Boris Johnson, who is himself remaining optimistic.
Allison, what kind of reaction has there been from the press here in France?
Well, French papers have been really making no secret of their elation about Joe Biden's victory. France's Catholic paper La Croix hails a new order on its front page today, and in its editorial, the paper actually connects the U.S. election with the 50th anniversary of the death of General Charles de Gaulle, which is being marked this Monday in France. The paper writes that it's a good time to remind ourselves of the way de Gaulle saw the U.S.-French relationship, one of loyalty and frankness. And La Croix writes that with Joe Biden's presidency, transatlantic ties will be able to sort of return to their old post-World War II intensity.
And the U.S. does always say France is its oldest ally. Staying with that theme, this next story is a demonstration of Franco-American ties, if you like. It's a video that went viral over the weekend of an American man crashing a live broadcast on French TV.
That's right. This was on the French channel BFM. The correspondent was in Philadelphia. I wish that we could show you the video, but because of rights issues, it's probably not a good idea. Instead, you can take a look at this tweet from Sana Saeed that went viral. I'll also put a link on the press review page. Anyway, this guy comes up alongside the presenters and he starts talking about how beautiful France is. He says he ate escargot, he loves croissant and omelette du fromage, which is actually, it should be omelette au fromage. He also makes the classic hon 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 noise, which a lot of French people, if you do that to them, have no idea what you're trying to say. Anyway, in short, this could be sort of offensive to a lot of people here in France. The magazine Forbes, though, has actually tracked this man down. His name is Mecca Onyenetu, and he's a Francophile, it turns out. out. He says he really hopes people didn't take it the wrong way. He says, the French are great. He's traveled here. He studied the language back in his school days. He works to support the office of the U.S. Secretary of State. It's worth noting, and friends have been joking that he could be maybe the next ambassador to France. I think, why not?
You never know.
It's a whole new age.
He's 15 minutes of fame as the omelette du fromage man. All right, love that. All right, one final viral story, Allison, to wrap up from the weekend this time. A lot of attention is being paid to the bizarre location where Trump's campaign decided to hold a press conference on Saturday.
That's right. It was in the parking lot of a garden supply store called Four Seasons Total Landscaping. Now, Four Seasons is also the name of a luxury hotel chain, and as The Cut explains, the presumption here that many people are making is that this location was a mistake, that maybe the Trump campaign wanted it to be at the Four Seasons Hotel. There has been no real explanation as to why this location was chosen. Papers point out that it was a really random place. The store is between a crematorium and a sex shop. There are a lot of writers who've been really seizing on the strange symbolism of this. As this writer from The Cut says, I cannot imagine a tidier visual metaphor for the collapse of Trump's presidency.
Allison, thank you so much for that. Allison Sargent with that look at the paper's